All right, everybody. Thank you. This has become a great joy of mine to spend these hours with you every morning. Krishna speaking to Arjuna. He's sharing him throughout this Gita the knowledge that he needs, the information that he needs so that he can transform. Transform from a person that's confused and full of anxiety, not knowing what to do, what not to do. We all have probably been there in some way in our life, or may even kind of be there in some way in our life. How to be dutiful, responsible. How to be dutiful, not just mechanically, not doing it because you know you should, but not really knowing why, but doing it informed with knowledge of the self. Who am I, right? Knowledge of this world. What is my relationship to this world, to my own body, to my mind, and knowledge in relation to Krishna, to the person behind it all, that I have this eternal relationship with, that I'm commonly forgetful with. So the duty should be informed with knowledge, but that knowledge shouldn't just remain theoretical. That knowledge should become fully integrated, right? It should mature to the point where I'm seeing the world through this knowledge, right? And with that, I'll let go of everything that's unimportant in life, all the little things, the petty things, the insignificant things that we get caught up with, that torture us, that take up bandwidth in our minds and prevent us from achieving what our real spiritual potential is. We learn to let go of everything that's unimportant. The mind becomes peaceful. And when the mind becomes peaceful, then it starts to become clear, and you develop the ability to focus it where you want. When it's not peaceful, it's distracted, it's running here, it's running there. The external things aren't exactly like I want them to be. People said this about me. People did that. I want this. I need that. When the mind becomes peaceful, it becomes more clear, more controllable. You can focus it exactly where you want to focus. And then that leads to this deep meditative absorption, unwavering meditation absorption. And that's what's required in order for these deep spiritual content, like a mantra, or like a lila, like Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes. Now you can bring your mind to them and become fully absorbed in them. A lot of work to do, right? Of course, we practice it immediately, and there's no limit to the benediction that these names or these places or these leelas can do for us. But when we can fully focus our mind and absorb the mind deeply in them, they'll be very powerfully and quickly transformational. And what will awaken in one then? Love, right? The divine love, which is our nature. The divine love in connection with that person who's behind everything. This is the message of the Gita. This is where Krishna wants to take Arjuna through these stages up to that place where that love arises in him, and he's clear, right? He's clear and he's focused and ready to operate according to that love in this world. That's where we're going. Are you ready to start looking at verses and chapters and getting into this?
Yeah.
We're diving right in today. We're not wasting any time. Okay? But I'm going to be quizzing you as we go forward. But I don't think I'll do it individually. That would be too much pressure, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But we'll do it like with raising hands, and we can go through this. So we kind of read through, I believe, text 37 in chapter 2. Am I right? We did read those verses, did we not? Yes? About where Krishna was speaking to Arjuna on the platform of, Karmakanda, right? He was speaking like from that Karmakanda platform. You should fight. You should do your duty. It's the right thing to do. And if you do it, you'll get great karmic results, right? You could even go to the heavenly planets, right? And if you don't do it, you're going to incur sin. That'll be bad. It'll cause suffering. It'll bring misery to you. Even people will be saying bad things about you. Oh, that's going to be very painful for you to have to endure that. Okay, but then he's going to shift gears. It's not that we're not going to hear anything about karma kanda. As a matter of fact, Krishna's going to speak about it, but he's going to start speaking about it from the other angle. Actually, Arjuna, you should be able to do better than this. Let's take this to a higher level. So let's just go ahead and open up chapter 2 and zoom forward. Why don't first open up the map, the chart of chapter 2. Let's get that open. Very good. So again, we heard about Arjuna's confusion in the first 9 verses, and then this Jnanic viewpoint, you're not your body. Body's a temporary thing. You are eternal. Don't you understand that? Why are you lamenting? Right? But that didn't appeal to Arjuna's mind, apparently. Krishna began to speak on the lower level, the karmic level. But he's switching the gears here now in these texts 38 through 53. He's going to talk about something called Nishkama, karma yoga. Prior to this is called Sakama. Kama means? No, not karma. Kama. I'm not saying karma with a Boston accent. Your karma. Got bad karma. Yeah, it's very difficult to give these classes in New England. But karma. Yeah, or desire, really, desire. It's commonly it's translated as lust or desire, material desire, we could say. So kama, this is sakama. These verses are from the platform of sakama, recognizing that I'm full of desires and responding to them. Now we're going to move on to nishkama, karma yoga. Nishkama, meaning without, free from desires. Right? Doing karma yoga, doing karma. Even this word karma yoga, it's combining karma, meaning action. Rather than renouncing action, I'm going to be active in this world, but I'm not going to do it sakama. I'm not going to do it full of desire, to fulfill desires. I'm going to do it nishkama, right? Or we could call that detached, right? Without any detachments. And what is it that allows us to be detached in this world? Knowledge. Thank you. This is exactly what I was looking for. This is super important. With knowledge comes detachment, right? With knowledge comes detachment. Oh, I'm tempted to tell a story right now. I'm going to have to do it quick. This goes back to a television show in the United States. Some of you may be familiar with. Some of you may be from the United States, but you're just too young. The Twilight Zone. Oh, yeah. Once Radhanath Swami said, I would not discourage people from watching The Twilight Zone. Really? There are very good and important messages that it's sharing. So it was an old television show, black and white, from the late 50s and early 60s. Each show had a different theme, different cast of characters and setting. So they were all like individual units. But they make you think about life. And in one of them, there was, it opened up and it looked like there was a shack, like a little house out in the desert. And you're seeing it from above. But the narrator begins to say that this is not the desert. This is an asteroid. And it's in the future. And in the future, rather than put people in prisons, they fly you out and they leave you on an asteroid all by yourself. Oh, wow. That's pretty rough, right? Yeah. And they say, and the person here that's living out there, the prisoner, he's dying from loneliness. And every 3 months, a rocket ship comes and it delivers the supplies. And when the rocket ship comes and the prison guard guy comes off of and delivers his supplies, and the prisoner saying to him, please stay with me, spend a little time, let's play some cards, just talk to me, I'm all alone out here, I need to talk to someone. And he says, I wish I could. But the earth is moving, and the asteroid, not asteroid, I guess, but would it be it's something that's somehow, the asteroid that he's living on, whatever it is, that's moving. And so if I don't leave right away, I'll never make it back to Earth. But I want to share with you that there are people back on Earth that believe that you're innocent. And they're looking at your case again. So I'm hoping someday I'm going to come here, not to drop off supplies, but to pick you up and bring you back. But for now, I see it's very hard being out here all alone. So I brought a gift for you. and I hope this gift will make your stay here a little bit easier. And he gets on the rocket ship and he flies away. Everybody with me? Good story so far? Okay, so the gift is this big wooden crate. It's like big. And he cracks it open, opens up the top, and inside is a robot. But it doesn't look like a machine. It looks like a human being. It actually looks like an attractive woman. And as soon as he opens it up, she comes to life. Totally realistic. And she says, "My name is Alicia. What's your name?" And now, this is very important right now. He recognizes that this is not a woman. This is a robot, which is in effect, in effect, it is
Not real.
yeah, it's not real. It's a reflection. It's an illusion, right? It's a reflection of a real woman. This does not exist unless there's a real woman somewhere. Only because there's a real woman first could you create this robotic facsimile of a woman. And he recognizes this is not a woman. This is an illusion of a woman. Yes? And he's saying, what, am I so pitiful here that I'm supposed to be like trying to commune with like a machine? So he's totally resistant. She says, "Please tell me your name. I want to be your friend." And he's like, "Leave me alone. I'm not so pitiful that I'm going to be playing this game." And she keeps persisting and he keeps resisting. And finally he pushes the robot and she hits the ground kind of hard. And then there's kind of like a awkward pause there for a moment. And then she turns up to look at him. And when she looks at him, a little tear comes out of her eye and rolls down her cheek. And when he saw that tear come down her cheek, you know what happened?
His heart grew 3 sizes.
Sorry, what is that? The Grinch? He started falling into illusion. He began to forget. This is not he began to think that this is a woman. This is not a machine, right? What happened? His jnana, his knowledge, got covered by a manifestation of the material energy, right? And he began to think that what's unreal is real. So as his knowledge went down, his illusion went up, right? But something else goes up when the knowledge goes down, based on what we were just saying. Desire or attachment, right? So they show the two of them. They're walking together. They're talking together. They're laughing together. They're holding hands. He's falling in love with the robot, right? Now he's in full illusion. He's forgotten that this is not real. He's fully taken in what's illusion as reality and embraced it, right? You understand? So when his knowledge got covered, his attachment grew. So then, some months later, the rocket ship comes back. And the same man comes down the steps of the rocket ship and he says, "I've got great news for you. They looked at your case back on Earth and you've been found innocent. I am not here to bring you supplies. I'm here to bring you back." And he's like, "Oh, what great news. This is wonderful. I've been hoping that this day would come." And he said, "But the Earth is moving and the asteroid is moving, so we need to go right now. So if you need to grab anything, grab it quick and let's go." And he's like, "Well, what do I need from here? I'm going back to Earth. I don't need anything from here. Let me just grab Alicia and we're ready to go." And he said, "Alicia? What are you talking about?" He said, "Alicia, the robot." He didn't say the robot. He just said Alicia. And he said, No, you don't understand. He said, "There's only so much fuel in this rocket ship. I can't carry so much weight. If we try to carry that much weight, we'll burn off all the fuel. We'll never make it back to Earth." When I said grab something, I meant like a shirt or something like that. And he's like, "Well, I can't leave her behind." You see how attached he is now, right? And he's like, "Come on, let's go." He's like, but. And now this is the way that the Jnani Yogi is looking at the people of the world. He's in so much illusion. You're with me? He's in so much illusion that he's become very attached to something that's unreal. He's so attached that he can't even make the step forward that he needs to take for his own good. You see? That's what they're saying we are like in this world in illusion. We have all these attachments because our knowledge has been covered over. We think I'm this body. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm this, I'm that. I'm part of this family, this lover of mine, that we have this, eternal loving connection. And I can't break that. We have, all of these things are saying because of all these attachments, all these misidentifications, all this illusion, you're incapable of taking the steps you need to become free, rather than being stuck on that asteroid desert. He could be free, but he's hanging on to his attachments. So what does the man do? No, the prison guard person.
He
Takes out a gun.
Laser gun.
Not a laser gun.
a
And
lightsaber.
he points it at the robot. And the man's like, no. And he fires. It's cold, right? This is Jnana. Just cold, cutting, right? Revealing what's illusion, what's truth. He shoots the robot, and the robot, she hits the ground. And when she hits the ground, her face comes off. And you see all of the gears and the wires. And I think even her voice kind of went like, don't shoot, or something like that. And now he sees the illusion, the facade has been pulled away, and he sees the truth, knowledge. This wasn't real. This was illusion. And he goes like this. He goes, thank you. Thank you. He needed him to do that, right? Otherwise, he would have been too attached, and then he starts to walk up the stairs onto the rocket ship, and they fly away. When there's knowledge, there's detachment. When there's gyan, there's vairagya. When knowledge becomes covered, we become attached, right? So knowledge directly is the antidote to illusion, or to attachment. Okay, so nishkama karma yoga means karma yoga without any attachments, not wanting to get something from my work. Most people do karma to get something, right? They want they're doing their actions and this is the Vedic idea, and you get something back. You get good karma back. You get wealth back. You get birth of healthy children back. You get rains for your crops back. You get transition to the heavenly planets back. Right? This is karma. But karma yoga means you're still doing the same work, but you're doing it with detachment. And what is going to facilitate that detachment? Jnana, knowledge. So karma yoga is the combination of jnana and karma, jnana and action. Everybody got that?
Mm-hmm.
It's not cleaning the yoga studio to get free yoga classes. It's not even philanthropy. Commonly, if people don't truly know Bhagavad-gita, they think any kind of philanthropy is karma yoga. No. You may be doing philanthropy to get something back from it, reputation or something like that. Mm. Karma yoga means I'm doing it based on knowledge of I'm not this body, I'm the spirit soul, I'm eternal, and I'm doing this without desire for anything in return. Welcome. Wonderful to have you here. Does that make sense? Karma yoga? Everybody got that? Mm-hmm. Combination of?
Jnana and action.
Jnana and karma, jnana and action. Okay, that's what we're going to hear about now. This is really important. This is where the Bhagavad Gita starts to kick into gear. This is where Krishna is beginning to point Arjuna, this is how I want you to become. It's the real important messages now. Let's open them up and read text 38 through 53. Okay, yeah, you can leave them both open, actually. That's helpful. Text 38. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. How can you do that? You have to be detached, right? Do what you're doing and don't think about what you're gaining something. Don't think about happiness and distress, but don't we do things to get happy? No. External happiness we're not interested in. The only happiness we're interested in is in covering the eternal happiness that's within. But as far as external happiness and distress, we know, when we have jnana, we know that this world is always up and down, happiness and distress. We stop seeking eternal happiness in the temporary world. Does that make sense? So he's asking something big. Arjuna, you've been saying, I don't know if I'm going to be happy if I fight this battle. Remember he was saying that in the first chapter? He's saying fight without considering happiness, right? For a lot of people, that's like we think that this world exists to go and find our happiness in it, right? This is a very different idea. No, the world does not exist like your playground. You're here to learn, right? Learn what? What are we meant to learn?
Love.
Well, love is, let's say, the ultimate. Let's bring it down a little bit more fundamental.
Jnana.
Jnana, and meaning especially?
Higher knowledge, spiritual knowledge.
Of the self,
jiva.
right? Yes. So that's where we could just start it right there. Who am I, right? I'm a spark of spiritual energy. I'm eternal. Sat Chit Ananda. That's the self-knowledge, Atma Jnana, knowledge of the self, okay? So he's going to say, I want you to work in this world just like the materialist does, but with Atma Jnana, right? And then you're not interested in happiness and distress. You're here cultivating that knowledge, cultivating deeper insight, cultivating detachment, and cultivating your awareness so that you can become free. Just like getting back on that rocket ship and going, right? You can become free. All right. Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through the analytical study. What one was that? Yeah, right here, right? Text 10 through 30, analyzing the distinctions between the body and the self. It's called Sankhya. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. Again, that's called Nishkama Karma Yoga. O son of Pritha, O Arjuna, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. Oh, this is a big idea now. You can work in this world and become free, because I thought when you work in this world, you get results from the work. I thought when you do karma, you get reactions. You're telling me that you can work in this world, be active in this world, do your duties in this world, and become free from reactions. This is what Arjuna has to start to take some time for this to fully sink in. All right? But that's a revelation. Welcome, Grace. Your seat is waiting here for you. No problem. Now he's introduced a new subject, karma yoga. And he wants to glorify, this is something that's commonly done in Vedic texts. He wants to glorify the subject that he's about to speak about. So it gets everyone's attention, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So he says, in this endeavor, the endeavor of karma yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, there is no loss or diminution. Where is there loss and diminution? Yes, in typical karmic endeavors, right? Even if you do good karma, you get good results, and then what happens? You lose it, or it diminishes, right? Even if you go to the heavenly planets, it's just a matter of time and you come back down. Mahabharata speaks about this, and other texts speak about what it's like to live in the heavenly planets for like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, enjoying pleasures like we just can't even imagine on this earth. And then you begin to realize it's time for me to go back down. Oh, man. You ever go away for vacation to a beautiful place and then you got to go back to work? Okay. Well, this is much worse than that. This is like, oh my God, I'm losing it all. I'm going back to that place. Oh. So in this endeavor, karma yoga, there's no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. There's no loss to the results you get. You're doing something without the desire to get something from it. Right? You're doing something without the desire to get, and now you're free. In other words, you're free of the good results, you're free of the bad results, you're free of the attachments. It's clean. You understand? It's clean of any kind of material response. You won't get entangled through it. A police officer in the line of duty can do things that otherwise would be crimes. But because they're not doing it for their own purpose, they're doing it on behalf of the higher power. on behalf of the government. They're not held responsible. There's no reaction that they get. Does that make sense? The logic there? Simple, yes? Similarly, if we move through this world not to try to get something for ourselves, we're actually a criminal if we do that, according to Krishna and the Gita. We're taking something that's not ours. We didn't create this world. We didn't create our own bodies, right? All the ingredients that they're made of, we didn't create any of this, right? It's just something that's loaned to us, but we want to start to take things for ourselves. If we can move through this world without taking anything for ourselves, there's no reactions. But what we can do is cultivate deeper understanding of ourselves. And so there's no loss for that. Everything material, you lose. This is gaining something spiritual. Okay, now he starts to speak about it. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of the crew, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. A spiritual person that's freeing themselves from material desires becomes very focused on one thing, right? And that is their self-realization. And the person that's trying to enjoy this world, it becomes many-branched, even within the Vedic context. On Monday, I have to do this kind of ritual so that I'll get that. On Tuesday, I have to worship the god of this, so I get this. On Wednesday, I have to worship this Deva or this Devi, so I'll get that. And I'm worried about what's happening with my children, and I'm worried about what's happening with my crops, and I'm worried about what's happening with my nation, and I'm worried about all these things. For the spiritual person, it all gets boiled down and becomes very simple. They get this focus. This is yogi now. Okay. We heard him speaking from the platform of Karma Kanda earlier, right? Arjuna, do this, it's your duty, do it. It's a great opportunity to cultivate good karma, even go to the heavenly planets. Listen how he shifts gears, okay? He's going to totally do 180 on this one. Could you please bring that up a bit? Men of small knowledge. He's just being blunt here. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, right? The flowery words. They tell you about, oh, this will be so nice when you get this, and this will be so nice when you go to the heavens, and you'll get all this good karma. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to the heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say there's nothing more than this. They say that there's nothing more than this. This is the highest goal in life. If you find a Vedic priest, real old school, they're going to tell you that the best thing you can do in life is do the rituals that they can provide for you. Because when you do, you're going to get all good things coming in your life. You understand? We're going to do this homa, this sacrifice. I'm going to chant the right mantras, and then prosperity is going to come into your life. This is what life is all about. And also, you're going to take a higher birth in your next life. That's how the Vedic... When you go into so many of the temples in India, this is what's going on. This is why people are going there. Have you seen it? Some of you are just kind of... This bubble is the first part that you've seen of India. But like if you go down a street, like in a shopping area, when people are opening up their shops, you see they're doing a little puja, right? They got a little altar in their shop, and they're worshiping maybe Lakshmi Devi, maybe Hanuman, right? Because they want to do good business that day, right? So they're saying, let me do this. Here he's saying less intelligent people are thinking this way. There's more to life than trying to do good things to get good material things to get good material results. So he's saying, yes, there is the karma kanda of the Vedas. Yes, it's true. Yes, it's a step up for people that are on a very low level. But I'm asking you to come to a higher level now, a higher level of thinking. That's for people that don't have very much jnana, men of small knowledge. Everybody with me? Mm-hmm. Okay. He's going to say more about this. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Literally what he says is samadhi doesn't take place. You don't get samadhi. You don't get this right here, this absorption, right? This steady meditative focus As long as you're interested in enjoying the things of this world, even from the Vedic perspective, you'll never get that unwavering meditative focus, that absorption. And that's the key. Being able to absorb your mind deeply spiritually is the key to not only freedom, but to awakening the deepest love that's within yourself. That won't come as long as you're too, he says, Bhogaishvarya. In the minds who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, Bhoga and Aishvarya. Bhogaishvarya, what is it? Bhogaishvarya, Saptanam Taya Prahita Chetasam. Vyavasayatmaka Buddhi. They don't get their reasoning, they don't get their intelligence fixed. Samadhau navatiyate, and they never achieve samadhi. They never achieve a focused mind. Okay? Clear? See? So you see, for instance, what does this verse speak of? What does this verse speak of if we go over to these charts here? Right? If we look to the evolution of motive, he's saying this karmic the motive of karma, it won't satisfy you in the long run. It's for people that are less intelligent. Try to come up, at least the jnana, understanding who you are, understanding how to let go of the desires for opulence and material prosperity. Okay. If we look over here, he's saying you're never going to get samadhi. You'll never come up to this place of absorption as long as you're stuck on this duty platform. Do your duty, get good things. You need to get the knowledge and mature it into wisdom and then get a peaceful mind, samadhi that stays focused, that's one-pointed. You see?
Yeah.
So this is why I'm trying to share these so that we can begin to see these verses in context, really understand what he's saying. Is that clear? In the past, if you read that verse, maybe you wouldn't have understood it as clearly.
Yeah.
Or is it working that way? Okay, it's working in that way. This is what I want all of us to be able to do better. Is to say, oh, I see what he's saying. Yeah, I see right there. He says Prabhupada translates it because he says they never get the resolute determination for devotional service. That's the bhakti yogi samadhi. All right? Not necessarily a trance state, but a state where my mind is always focused on Krishna and service. Okay. The Vedas, always back to the Vedas, right? The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Okay? So when we're talking about the modes of material nature, we're talking about the material energy, one of three categories, right? Three categories of?
Gunas? Of the gunas? Sattva?
No, there's that. But I'm saying when we're talking about those are the three gunas are the material energy divided into three. But the material energy is one subject amongst three subjects.
Jiva and the Paramatma.
Yes, the Jiva and the Paramatma, which comprise, knowledge of these three comprises? Jnana, knowledge, right? So this is a verse that's talking about the relationship between the self. All right, here we have, they deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. He's saying that these Vedas, the four Vedas, the original four Vedas, which teach karma kanda, they don't talk so much about the self. They talk about the body, they talk about the mind, they talk about satisfying oneself through materialistic endeavor, all within the category of the three modes of material nature. Yes, please. Could you please take that from me? So he's saying, come up to the level of jnana, right? Where you start to think about the self. Who am I? Right? He's saying, come up to that level. The Vedas deal with the three modes of material nature, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities. The material energy is all dualities, up, down, hot, cold. Become free from all dualities and free from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. That's a strong phrase there. Be established in the self. Right? The self is solid. The self is eternal. The self doesn't change. You don't build a house on the sand because it's shifting all the time. Right? You build the house on rock, something that's not going to shift. The nature of the self is like a rock. It's eternal. It's not going anywhere. So focus on that. Make sense? All the purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. This is an interesting verse. In India, in a village, you might have several wells. And they have a way of using them. Like, in other words, the well where you bathe your body, that's not going to be where you get your water for cooking. This, right? They're going to keep this one pure. This one serves this purpose. This one serves that purpose. This one serves that purpose. Right? But if you have a river, you can do everything in that river, right? Because it's just gushing pure water constantly. Right? So you can take care of everything in that one river. He's saying similarly, when you're on the platform of karma kanda, I need to worship, this particular deva on Monday, and this one on Tuesday, and this one on Wednesday. I need to wear green on Wednesday. I need to wear this gem on Saturday. I'm concerned about all these different karmic shifts, and it makes me many branched. We heard about that earlier, right? I have so many things going on. He's saying all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. All of those practices of good karma were just to get us to be more selfless, just to get us to come from that lower platform of V-karma, where I'm entirely selfish. I still want the things, but I have to recognize now that this God gives this God gives that. Let me express my gratitude. Let me do a ritual on Monday and a ritual on Tuesday to express my gratitude to all these gods and goddesses. Yes? Mm-hmm. But for one who understands the self, right, particularly when you understand Krishna behind everything, you don't have to go to every one of those gods and goddesses and appease them, and you just go to the top, because they're all just representatives of Krishna. If you satisfy Krishna, everybody said, all of those representatives are like, oh, very good. Imagine a child, spoiled child, maybe in a very wealthy family. And if you ask that child, where do you get your food? The child might say, I get it myself. You say, really? How do you do that? You're just a child. I walk over to the refrigerator, I open it up, and I take out the food. Right? So in one sense, yes, the child is the one that's getting his own food. But we all know that that's actually just the most superficial understanding of where the child gets his food. Yes?
Yes.
That the parents go out and work, they earn money, they go to the grocery store, they buy that food, and they transport that food back home, and they place it in the refrigerator, thinking about the welfare of the child at every step. Right? So where does the child really get their food?
Mom and dad.
From the parents. Right? From the parents. What if there are many servants in that home, and this one servant brought the food, and one servant cleaned the bedroom and cleaned the whole house, one servant did the laundry, and one servant did the child. If the child is totally selfish, he has no appreciation for all that's being provided. But if he matures a bit, he begins to say, you know what, I need to thank the person that cooks my food. I need to thank the person that does my laundry. I need to thank the person that does this and thanks the person that does that, right? But really, why are all those people doing what they do? Because the parents are paying them, right? So really the person to thank is the parents. All of that is happening by the will and the direction of the parents, right? So if you actually thank the parents, you're getting right to the root of everything. Right? Am I seeing parents looking at children here? I thought it's like, you see? Okay. Sometimes the children become like the parents. But you understand? And the most mature person would be thanking the parents and appreciating all the servants as well. But seeing them, not being under the illusion that these servants are providing everything. Realizing that the servants are on behalf of the highest power, being given the power to provide for me this. whatever I'm getting, and that they can be switched at any time, and they will be switched. But the real person, the person that they're dependent on, the true person that they're dependent on, is not the person that brings the food or does their laundry. It's the parent, right? The parent will replace that person that does the laundry, but ultimately it's the parents that they're dependent on. And so if we understand Krishna, if we understand who he is and how he's behind everything, then just by bringing our attention, our meditation, our devotion to that one place, everything's satisfied. You don't have to do Monday this, Tuesday that, Wednesday this, Thursday that. You just worship Krishna, everything's settled. This verse makes sense now?
Yeah.
All the purposes served by a small well can once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. Right? You're going to accomplish everything by this focus. Okay, and then 47, big duty verse. You have the right to perform your prescribed duty, Arjuna. As a matter of fact, really, again, I feel the way this is phrased, it might, if it were phrased this way, we might understand it still more. Not just you have the right. When you say you have the right, it sounds like you can take it or leave it. But to say, no, your qualification, it's almost saying, Arjuna, you are only qualified. You're only qualified to work in this world. You're not qualified to walk away from work, to renounce work. You're only qualified to work, right? So let's read it that way. Arjuna, you are only qualified to work in this world, but you're not entitled to the fruits of that work, okay? Generally, on the karma kanda level, you're doing the work to get the fruits. He's saying, that's your qualification to work, but you're not entitled to the fruits. It's not yours. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities. What are you talking about? I'm the person that made this happen. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Let's talk about that, because now we're talking about this. It's a big topic in philosophy, and it has to do with agency. Who's responsible? Who's the doer? It's a big question in Bhagavad-gita, the doer. You've heard this before? Mm-hmm. The karta is in Sanskrit. Imagine, welcome, Gulnara. Come on up if you're not disturbing us. There's seats up here if you'd like. Imagine you're plugged into a virtual reality. You're just sitting in a chair like this, right? And you have like special gloves on, and you have like special goggles on, and headphones on, and you're totally in this virtual world. You with me?
Yep.
And in that world, let's say you're driving a car, okay? And in the back of the car, let's say it's a truck, and in the back of the truck, there's all kinds of goods. And you're in this virtual world, you're driving that truck with all these goods to some other destination and delivering them, okay? And so you're sitting there, actually you're doing nothing. You're just sitting on this chair. You haven't gone anywhere. Mm-hmm. But you feel like I'm driving a truck and I'm going somewhere and I'm delivering all of these goods. Look how much I've done. But what have I done? I haven't done anything. Everything that's been done is actually just effects on a computer screen. Well, Bhagavad-gita here, and Krishna is starting to tell Arjuna, you're not the doer of anything. You're just this little spark. And the three modes of material nature are moving everything, right? And ultimately, I'm the controller of them. So you're not doing anything. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities. Interesting, right? Mm. I lift up this pointer. I squeeze the button, and a little green light comes out. Have I done that? Even the ability to lift my arm, I desire it, and somehow it happens. I don't even know how. All right? He's saying, think more clearly. Understand that you're just this tiny little spark, right? Educate yourself now. Recognize your position in this realm that you're in and free yourself, right? And you're going to do that, Arjuna, at the level that you're at, is you're going to do your duty, and you're going to do it well informed, right? Duty plus knowledge here, karma yoga. And why are we doing that karma yoga? Okay, I think first Will had a question. We have a few questions. You sure?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
an off-the-record question.
Okay. Kishori Gopi, you had a question? Or
Didn't
you
I
just,
ask it?
We're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
Someone else?
Then Verity.
So you just said a few things that made me think of this concept of like not having free will, like everything's happening by his sanction, cause of the results. But then, can you explain the concept of like we should have to choose to love God?
The one thing that we have is the free will.
Okay.
That's the one thing that we have. But from that point, everything is carried out by other agencies. That's the freedom that we have, is the free will. Right? So I desire to lift my right arm, and somehow it gets lifted. Right? Somehow the power is granted for me to lift this arm. But what I have the freedom to do is to desire it. Does that help? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's send the mic back to Will. Did I say Will? I said William.
Either's fine, thank you. Actually, my question does actually make sense now.
Okay.
When you said here, you have the right to perform your prescribed duty, did I hear you say that you changed the word right?
Well, in other words, the Sanskrit word here is adhikara. And adhikara is generally translated as the qualification. What is your qualification? So in the context that this is being spoken, he's not saying, Arjuna, you have the right to perform work, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. When you say it like that, you have the right, it sounds like that. But what I'm sharing is that the real message in this verse is he's saying, Arjuna, there are different qualifications. Some people are qualified for work. Some people are qualified to walk away from work. When your knowledge has matured enough that you become fully detached and have a deeply peaceful mind, you're qualified to not do work in this world, to sit quietly in a cave. But you don't have that mindset, Arjuna. You don't have that peaceful, quiet mind. So therefore, your qualification is limited to working in the world. You must work. In a sense, what he's saying is you must work. Look at your qualification. That makes sense?
Okay, thank you.
All right. That's what I wanted to convey. He's saying, you're not qualified to walk away from the work. You must work, but don't consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities. Don't be attached to the fruits of the work. Do it with detachment. Like that. This is a recipe for karma yoga right here, this verse. Okay? Good? So he's giving him, he's filling him in now. Don't be stuck on the Vedic level. I want you to work like it was taught in the Vedas, but I want you to do it with the jnana that comes from the Upanishads. You see? And that's called? Everybody's got to get this now. Thank you. Karma yoga. That's called karma. Or nishkama karma yoga. Right? Knowledge, action informed with knowledge. Duty informed with knowledge. Yes, Jess.
All right, I have a question because you said that sometimes certain circumstances make you perform certain actions.
Certain circumstances are part of what goes into the action taking place.
All right, because I was thinking, well, maybe someone could just use that as an excuse to justify doing some harmful things, for example.
So there are 5 factors to the action in the Gita. And so one of them is the circumstance. But that's not the only one.
Okay.
So yes, people can always rationalize. But Krishna was really telling that to Arjuna because he's saying, I am going to be responsible for the death of all these people. And Krishna's saying, in one sense, your position is not different from a person that's not a warrior, that's sitting off the battlefield. They're not responsible for it, and you're not responsible for it either. If Dhritarashtra would have behaved differently, if Duryodhana would have behaved differently, if all the demons hadn't taken birth in the royal families, if all these things hadn't happened, you wouldn't be doing this. It's only because of all these circumstances that you have to be step up to it, but you shouldn't be held responsible because of that. So you're not responsible. But that's 18th chapter. When we get there.
Thank you.
Yes. Please remind me of your name.
Miho.
Miho. I keep forgetting that.
Would you elaborate that what Buddhi yoga is that the Prabhupada talk about in the purport?
Yes.
I was a bit confused about like what is karma yoga. He actually said that the Buddhi yoga or karma yoga,
Yes.
but in his explanation, it's like a Buddhi yoga is actually focused on Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
So
If we had like a long time to get into all this, I would go deep into that. But Buddhi refers to the intellect or the reasoning filter within our cognitive faculty, within our mind. And so what's called Buddhi yoga in the Bhagavad-gita is the idea, this is real important, the idea that if my intellect is well informed with knowledge, then whatever I perceive through my senses, you see, we take in something through the senses and it passes just like a computer is connected to a camera. And an image comes in through the camera and then it gets processed through the applications on the computer, and then it gets stored on the hard drive or the memory bank of the computer. Mm-hmm. So similarly, something will come through the camera of our eyes, it'll get processed in the computer of our mind, and then stored in our own memory bank. And when it's stored in the memory bank, what is it called? In Sanskrit? Samskara. An impression is made in the mind. It's a little file in the memory bank of the computer of our mind. Now, because it passes through different applications as it's processed, that information, that image or information that we took in, that data, let's say visual data, it gets processed by different people in different ways. Two people see the same thing, and it gets processed through two different minds and stored, encoded in different ways due to the processing. One person says that was great, and one person says that was traumatic. Mm-hmm. You know, do you like to ride on roller coasters? One person has the experience and it gets processed and stored as that's the most fun thing I've ever done. And another person does the exact same experience, the exact same data coming in, and it gets processed and stored as that was horrible. I'm never doing that again. When it comes up in one person's memory, it was like, that was great. And they feel a little lighter and they feel a bit of happiness. And another person, that memory rises up and they're like, oh God, that was terrible. Mm-hmm. So how it gets processed in the mind is very important, right? Mm-hmm. A yogi is very attuned at processing that data in such a way that it becomes favorable for their liberation, for their freedom. Okay? Sometimes the sexual examples are very clear. Two men look at the same form of a woman, right? One is a yogi and one's not. And so the first, let's say the one that's not. So he just there's different, I'm not going to get into all the different facets of the mind, but he identifies that form as an object of pleasure and stores it. It gets stored in the mind with the idea that there is happiness to be found there. If someone mentions the name of that woman, then that memory comes up, he sees the form again in his mind, he feels a little charge of excitement. Right? But another yogi looks at the exact same form and he says, this is a form of the material energy, right? This is a combination of material ingredients that's going through a shift. You know, happiness does not exist within that form. Real happiness is something that's within myself, right? This form, as beautiful and attractive as it is the work of God. And there's beauty there. But that beauty is not meant for my enjoyment. Like this, it's just a different way of processing. That's the buddhi. All of that is going on in an application in the mind called the buddhi. And so buddhi yoga means I'm processing all the information that's being stored in my memory bank through this clear yogic reasoning. That's buddhi yoga. And it's talked about quite a bit in this second chapter. And it's confused as Arjuna, because he's saying, on one hand, you're telling me to fight. Well, fighting is what the Buddha yogis don't do, right? They're the ones that say they haven't applied the yogic reasoning. They're thinking happiness is found in conquering. Happiness is found in gaining wealth and power, etc. But you're asking me to be a Buddha yogi and fight. It's like you're telling me to do two different things. So he becomes confused. Now, there's a verse in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita that mentions Buddha yoga. Does anyone know that verse? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tvam yena mam upiyantite. To those who are constantly tesham satata yuktanam. Satata means all the time, yuktanam, connected with me. Bhajatam, worshiping, pratipurvakam, full of love. To those who are always connected to me, worshiping me with love, the dami, I give buddhi yogam tvam. I give buddhi yoga to them. Yena mam opiyantite, and in this way they come to me. Now that verse is one of these Krishna factor verses. If you serve me with love, I give you all of the reasoning in your mind, all of the clarity in your mind through which you come to me, that you won't be confused by this world. You won't be dragged this way and that way by your senses. I give it to you, right? I get involved. I don't leave you stuck there working hard to try to cultivate this kind of clarity and so on. I give it to you like that. So this is something about Buddha yoga. Huh? 10:10. Yeah. William.
Sorry.
Just a very quick one.
Yes.
Does the pure devotee of Krishna also get the 8 siddhis as well, by the same logic?
You know, the pure devotee of Krishna can get anything. But the pure devotee of Krishna is definitely not interested in the 8 siddhis. And so anything is open to the pure devotee because they're Krishna's devotee. But generally the siddhis are materialistic consideration. Even though they're accomplished through yoga, it's, you know, our Goswamis write about Ashtanga yoga, and they don't recommend it, like Jiva Goswami writes about it. You know why he doesn't recommend Ashtanga yoga? No. Because when you become very advanced in it, you're granted these siddhis, these mystic powers, and they're very alluring, and one can forget the goal of bhakti. That's the reason. So most of us, you know, it's not really such an issue. It was, I don't know any of us that are developing these. Not that there aren't people that have them, but they're pretty rare. But anything's open to. But the devotee's not interested in that, and Krishna's fulfilling the desires of his devotees. So if a pure devotee has a desire to do something, Krishna may facilitate it through a mystic power, but it's not what they're interested in. But there are yogis that's why they do it. That's their focus. That's their desire. Krishna will grant it to them. But it'll be a distraction ultimately. Even the Yoga Sutras speak of it that way. Yes.
I really had a question of maybe will we get into the practical application of some of these things? I'm sort of stuck in verse 45 about, not having sort of anxiety around safety. That's something that's sticking in my mind, right? So for me specifically, what I'm curious about is how does self-realization keep me from needing emotional safety and in a relationship context?
Okay.
Will we get there?
Yeah, no, this is a good question. Let's always try to understand the context in which something is being shared, because he's speaking to a person whose duty it is to be a warrior. So just like if you were speaking to a police officer that had to go do something dangerous, you'd say, don't be worried about safety, do what you're supposed to do. At the same time, the nature of this world is we're all in danger at every moment, practically. And if we have knowledge of the self, it helps us transcend anxiety. So when we feel unsafe, we can either be in a peaceful mind and do what we need to do to find the safety that's appropriate, or we could be full of anxiety. And even that can make us practically like immobilized even. Or it can just have us so distracted that we, sometimes people are like, they never leave their house because they're worried about things, you know? So there's plenty within the culture of the Vedic culture and the Bhakti culture about taking care of your duties in life and being responsible. And essentially, that's why Krishna's asking Arjuna to fight, to create the safe circumstances, right? They were abusing women. They were abusing in other ways. Let's make the world safe again. But he's saying, one, you have a duty to do where you have to face physical danger. But if you understand the self, you'll understand that on the higher level, on a second level, there is no danger whatsoever. This is our challenge in applying all this. All these kind of questions. I could probably give a label for that kind of question because it's important and they come up a lot. Like practical application of something that sounds too otherworldly. Our challenge is, there's a challenge always in applying this knowledge in this world. And that challenge is increased, accentuated, when you're bringing this to the Western world, where there's not a whole culture behind it. And so our challenge becomes, how do I find the essence of what's being said and make it effective in my life? That's the whole art. Otherwise, we could do it. We could try to apply everything we're hearing, follow it to the letter, and never have it'll never have the effect that it's meant to have. We'll try to put square pegs into round holes and just break everything. So the idea is, all of it's not going to apply. Every detail of it's not going to apply. But what is the essence, and how will we find a way to make that essence alive in our life? That's always the challenge. That's the art. But we become, what facilitates our being able to do that is to really understand the essence. That's what we really need to understand. So part of what it means to be a yogi in this world is you're seeing on two levels at the same time. That we're seeing the practical level of the world that we're in, concerns for safety, concerns for justice, these kind of concerns, they need to be addressed within a broader society. So we have that concern in our life. And then there's another concern that's fully on the spiritual level, that ultimately all these concerns, when you get a zoomed out perspective, they're all insignificant and they're temporary and they're passing and they're gone. So we need to be able to see with both these eyes at the same time. And sometimes I use this example of like do you know a stereogram? Do you know what a stereogram is? Stereograms are that kind of art that you look at and it just looks like some crazy hard to look at pattern. Oh, yeah. And you stare into it and then the image arises out of it. Mm-hmm. But do you know why it's called a stereogram? Does anyone know? No. Nice. It's not because you're staring at it. But Will knows.
Stereo is like there's two different sides.
Exactly, because it requires two perspectives. If you cover one eye, the image will never arise out of it. It takes two different perspectives. Probably it would be easier. Sometimes we stare and it's hard to get it to come out. Probably if our eyes were wider apart, it would be easier, right? But only when you're looking at it with both eyes does the image come out. And similarly, if we can look at this world with both eyes, being concerned for the material, whether it's safety or justice, practicalities, and so on, that can give us the stability that we need to live a good life. And at the same time, never forgetting, always remembering the entirely transcendental perspective that we are beyond all of these concerns. If you have both those, then the image of how to live can arise well. But all that being said, I want to share one more thing. I think as we get older, that one starts to go down and one starts to go up. And when I see the real saints in life, like, what is this Govardhan Eco Village? Why should we be concerned with the ecological condition of the earth? It's just a temporary manifestation. It comes, it goes. It's all material energy. But no, it's harmonious. The Bhakti Yogi, especially in Bhakti Yoga, how does the Bhakti Yogi look at the earth?
It's a goddess.
Huh?
It's a goddess.
On the Jnanic level, we look at it and we say, it's illusion. It's temporary shifting material energy. And and from this Bhakti spiritual perspective,
It's a goddess.
it's a goddess, right? This is Bhumi Devi, right? Or it's Krishna's energy. It's the beautiful energy of Krishna. Let us respect it that way. And so this is a project that's saying we can see the earth like this. We can be well informed, peaceful minded. If we're peaceful minded, we can live simply. If we can live simply, we can preserve the earth, right? So that's called wisdom, right? But then we can be even deeper, and we can see Krishna behind everything, right? And all of it can be done out of love. At the same time, it's setting an example and showing technologies to the whole world of how they can preserve the earth. And if not, we're just going to destroy the whole thing and just create hell on earth for all of us, and there'll be tremendous suffering. So this is a great example of a place that's got both of those eyes, where on one hand, they're not losing touch with the spiritual ultimate reality. And on the other hand, by not losing touch with it, I mean, they're not getting so caught up even in well-intentioned material endeavors. They're never forgetting the spiritual reality behind it, but they're also showing how to improve this world, even though it is temporary, right? How to relieve suffering, even though that is on a material level. Right? Okay, so both, we need both. But let's try to understand what he's saying. Think higher, Arjuna. He's saying to Arjuna, you've forgotten this other eye, and you need to wake that up a little bit. Okay. All right. Shall we continue? Where were we? Which one? 48. We read 48. Okay. O Dhananjaya, O Arjuna, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their works are misers. A man engaged in devotional service, hold it, we didn't read 48, did we? Oh, this is a very important verse.
Yeah, we read 47.
Yeah. Perform your duty equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. On our evolution in clarity from duty to knowledge to wisdom to absorption to love, where are we with this verse? I'm sorry? Anybody? Wisdom. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I would say wisdom here, right? It's wisdom is informed by knowledge, but I'm doing my duty in this world, so it's covering duty, but I'm abandoning all attachment. That speaks to jnana, and it's saying I've achieved a state of equanimity. That's wisdom,
Integrated.
right? Yeah, that's integrated knowledge. That's now my mind is even, whether it's hot or cold. It's saying victory or defeat, right? Abandoning all attachment to success or failure. Sometimes people think that if I become totally peaceful minded and detached, that I'm going to have no determination in this world. This also goes back to the earlier question, right? Why would I be determined to do it? Isn't it people that are rajasic, that feel like I need to change something, that get things done, that are determined? Does it make sense? Yeah, are you with me, following the logic? But the fact is that in the 18th chapter, Krishna is going to say that the person that's sattvic is the one that has unbreakable determination. Because the person that's rajasic, their determination is dependent on the externals. If they're working hard and they're not getting any result, then it'll be like enough. Whereas the determination of the sattvic person, he's already satisfied. He's got a peaceful mind already. So his determination isn't based on what's happening externally. And he can, and that person will have tremendous determination.
Mm.
Right? He's asking, huh?
Like Radha Swami.
There's a very good example. Right? So, so he's saying here, this equanimity is this is equanimity based on detachment, coming from knowledge, that is changing work into yoga. Right? If, yoga teachers and all that, they're always talking about yoga off the mat. You want to try to turn your life into yoga off the mat in just one simple way. See if you can maintain an even mind as you pass through life. Right? And how will you do that? That's facilitated by reflection on knowledge. What I think is so important is not so important. Right? That person said something not nice about me. Usually that's going to get in our mind and like a worm crawled in through our ear and got into our brain and just started crawling around in there and doesn't go away. Just disturbing us, right? The person that has knowledge says they've said something, that they made a little vibration through the ether about me, but it's not even about me. It was about my body or my position in life or something like that. I'm going to let that disturb me? Why should that disturb me? It has nothing to do with me. It's a little blip, tiny little blip in existence, and then it's gone forever. Why am I holding on to it? I don't need to. I can just let it go. But it's playing in my mind. It's playing loops going in my mind, right? I reflect on it. I let it go. That kind of person could have an even mind. Hot and cold. Oh my God, it's so hot today. Oh, it's freezing cold. We could go on and on. When I was a kid, there wasn't so much. Wasn't these 24-hour news cycles. Right? It was like the news came on in the morning, news came on in the evening. That was it. Half hour each time. Nowadays, they have 24-hour news cycles. They got to keep saying stuff. It's snowing. There's going to be snow. It's going to snow. It's like, oh my God, there's snow. It's just like, come on, man. It's going to snow and that's it. It comes and it goes, And we go into it. Oh my God, it's very hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's just like, it's just like so much wasted energy and wasted time, wasted thought, right? Whether it snows or it doesn't snow, whether it's hot or it's not hot, I'm okay either way, right? I know that it's going to get hot. I know that it's going to get cold. These things come and go. I know that I'm going to grow old. I know I'm going to be born again and be young. I'm not going to get upset about it. I know people are going to say nice things. I know people are going to say things that are not so nice. I don't have to get caught up in it like that. I know some days are going to be prosperous and some days not so much. I've already come to terms with it. So when it starts coming at me, I'm already prepared. I've already let go. I'll share one story with you, okay? I used to sell books, sell Prabhupada's books.
That came up.
Huh?
Raghu was speaking about that this morning.
Oh, was he?
Sad song.
Okay. So one day do we have anyone from Philadelphia here? I don't think we have. Yes, okay. So one day I was at the 30th Street station. And I think it might have been like the day before Thanksgiving or something. It was like on a very big travel day. And like we would always know these days you can sell more books than like any other day of the year. This is like, so you make a plan, you set your determination. You say, I'm going to get up early, I'm going to be out there early, I'm going to stay out late, and today we're going to see what we can do for Krishna's pleasure. And but I said to myself, through experience, I said, whenever there's a special opportunity to serve Krishna, this is a lesson. It may apply in your own lives. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Whenever you want to do something special for Krishna, a lot of times there'll be an obstacle that comes early on. I'm seeing from the experience of devotees. Oh yeah. And that obstacle is the test. How determined are you? Right? Or are you just going to give up? You understand? Mm-hmm. And it's an opportunity to express your devotion to Krishna. So I said, on a day like today, I have a feeling there'll be a test early on. I need to pass that test. If I can pass that test, then I could be focused all day. So I went in thinking like that, already prepared, right? Already mentally prepared. And I went up, and in this train station is like one of these train stations has got a super high ceiling, like a cathedral almost, and you hear echoes as someone just walks across the floor. You hear, it's like a big open place. And there weren't many people there. I was there very early in the day. And the first person I saw, this businessman in a suit and a briefcase coming up, and I walked right up to him. I handed him a copy of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He took it. He didn't say a thing to me. He took it, went back, like that. I was flying through that. I could see it flying.
Oh no.
Yeah. Now, of course, in one sense, it's painful that someone treats something so sacred in such a crude way. But I just said, okay. And I said, that was the test. And I just went and I picked up the book. That was it.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I'm not going to let I'm not going to let my mind dwell on this. I'm not going to let I'm not going to yell at this man. I'm not going to get in some argument with him. I'm not going to even think about this again. It's gone. All right, and then I just focus. So that's the way that the yogi is thinking. Hot, cold, honor, dishonor, victory, defeat. I know it's going to go up and down already. I'm already mentally prepared for that. It's going to snow. It's going to snow. I know it's going to snow. And I know the snow's going to melt. I know it's going to be hot. I know people are going to say nice things. I know people are going to say things that aren't nice, right? And that's jnana. And the more that you reflect on it and the more that you practice it, it starts to mature into wisdom, where you're naturally that way. You naturally, spontaneously begin to process the world that way. And your mind becomes even. And Krishna is saying it's that element of even-mindedness that turns common external work into yoga. So if we want to practice taking yoga off the mat, practice having an even mind under any circumstance. Now you're getting somewhere. Right? Yes, Verity.
Oh, sorry.
For those of us that can't instantly recall with the knowledge, what would be some advice on like practical application of that?
Well, that you have to reflect on it. Just start to set the intention in your own mind, even in little ways. I know some people that they put, nowadays people have those rubber wristbands that they have. Sometimes they say different things on them. They wear a wristband or rubber band. And let's say I decide I don't want to criticize anybody today. Every time I criticize someone, I would have to take the band off this wrist and put it on that wrist, right? And then I say, oh my God, that's like the third time I had to do that. That's like the fourth time. So, but set the intention and become serious about it. See how important it is in your life. And then can I reflect on knowledge? This is just a blip in time. This is unimportant. This is just part of the changing material energy that I know is always going to be changing, and I know it's always going to be going up and down. Let go. You have to remind yourself of these things. And then you practice them. You take a deep breath and you let go. And it'll start to become more natural. When a bhakti yogi, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, we're talking about this distinction, that I may have Bhagavan knowledge, but not have Brahman realization. Remember we're talking about that? So I know Krishna's God. I know I'm his servant eternally. I know that that's a blissful, beautiful, intimate relationship. But I haven't let go of all the petty things in life, right? So the bhakti yogi is saying, the reason why I chant the holy name and I don't feel anything is because I haven't let go. Therefore, trinadapi sanichena. Be more tolerant, be more humble than a blade of grass. Toror iva suhishnana. Be more tolerant than a tree. Right? Someone takes your book and throws it, be tolerant. Offer all respects to every living being. Don't expect any respect from any living being. Don't be needing that. They didn't show me the proper respect. I mean, sorry, I don't like to get political. But just like the woman that won the Nobel Prize, gave the Nobel Prize to our president. And now he's happy. Yeah, because she's obviously hopeful that she can manipulate him in this way and have him place her as the president of Venezuela, right? I mean, it's like, and he's such a child. He's got the thing, he's got a big smile. You didn't even earn it. and he's got a big smile on his face. He's got his trophy, you know. It's funny because the conservative people are generally the ones criticizing the liberal people that they have these ceremonies where everybody gets a trophy that's unearned. But he got his unearned trophy because he needs that validation. Even as president of the United States, he feels empty. I need more validation. I'm not getting the validation that I need. Why are they not validating me? I've stopped 8 wars. You know, I need validation. And then finally this woman says, here, you can have the award. Thank you. Now I'm getting the validation. Until someone says, what's going on here? You didn't earn that. Then he gets upset again, right? So amanena, manadena. I respect every living being. I don't need any respect for myself. I don't need some trophy. I don't need some recognition, right? Only when we start to let go of all these things, kirtaniya sada hari, that we can be constantly absorbed in chanting. Otherwise, our mind's distracted. Even we're chanting, we're not really chanting, right? Okay. Yeah. So this such equanimity is called yoga. What is it? Samatvam yoga uchate. Samatvam yoga uchate. That's a nice little phrase from Bhagavad-gita you can remember. Samatvam, even-mindedness. Sama means same. And samatvam, the suffix tvam means like in English, like ness, sameness, evenness. Samatvam yoga uchate is called, right? Such even-mindedness is called yoga, right? You're not practicing yoga if you're not practicing even-mindedness, really. You may be practicing asana, you may be doing exercise, but it really starts to become yoga because it's really all about the mind. You're practicing yoga if you're trying to practice even-mindedness. It's a big statement. It's a big declaration to say it in that way. And Krishna is going to talk about even-mindedness throughout the Bhagavad-gita. When he talks about who's dear to him, he starts to mention even-mindedness. You know. So in other words, if we want to please Krishna, then we'll practice even-mindedness. Again, we could say Radhanath Swami, I've seen him. I've seen him be unfairly, publicly criticized by his own godbrothers and not only not get upset, but not hold one drop of animosity towards that person. Right? That's when we're starting to get somewhere. You know, that now you're becoming a yogi. Now you're a person that can become absorbed in Krishna's name, absorbed in hearing Krishna's pastimes. Otherwise, there's no access because we're still caught up in the things of this world. I still want recognition. I still want validation. And if I don't get it, I'm upset. And then I have an enemy in the world. And then that enemy begins to dominate my consciousness. Right? Yogi has no enemies. Right? No enemies. Otherwise, how do I forgive? I can forgive everything. Even if they don't apologize, I can forgive. Like that. Such equanimity is called yoga. Okay. Oh, Dhananjay, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their works are called misers. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions, even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. Work can be done artfully. In other words, when you're doing it in such a way that you get no reactions, that's the art of all work. By thus engaging devotional service, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries, back to Godhead. So Arjuna is worried about getting bad results. I'm going to fight this battle and all this sin will be upon me and I'll suffer. And he's saying, no. It's actually when you engage in devotional service, when you engage in this nishkama karma yoga, then you won't get any bad results. You'll actually free yourself from bad results. He's flipping it on him. When your mind is passed out of the dense force of delusion, you shall become indifferent, right? Even-minded, indifferent to all that has been heard and to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. All the promises in the Vedas about good karma, going to the heavens, this, that, and the other, you'll just let all that go as insignificant. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas and when it remains fixed in trance, of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. So he's saying you need to practice right now having an even mind under these difficult circumstances. Without that, there's no hope of ever entering samadhi. But if you practice this, you can achieve this stage of absorption, right? Where you'll be able to focus your mind exactly the way you're worried right now because you don't have a peaceful mind. But it's through engaging in Nishkama Karma Yoga that your mind's going to become more peaceful. Not by walking away from this battlefield. You'll take your mind with you. Right? You need to learn how to engage it. Do what you're doing, practicing habit through reflecting on knowledge, even out that mind. Right? And then you'll be able to achieve this state where you can go into trance. Okay, I think that's the end of that section. And this next section is the one I really wanted to spend some time with you on, or just really highlight. Can we go up to 54? This section here is the Sage of Steady Mind, I've called this section. This is about wisdom, okay? This is the state of the mind of the wise person. This is a very attractive idea to Arjuna. He's heard a little bit about it now, this even-minded person. Whatever's happening, victory, defeat, they have an even mind. Peace. I wish I was like that. So Arjuna's going to say, tell me more about this person. Nice question, right? Arjuna says, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak, and what is his language? How does he sit, and how does he walk? There are essentially 4 questions here, and they're all going to be answered as this chapter plays out. But he's speaking a bit figuratively here. He says, what are his symptoms? Okay. How does he speak? How does he speak means how does he respond? How does he respond to the shifting external circumstances? How does he respond? Does he complain? Right. How does he sit, which means when he's inactive, what is his mindset? When his senses are not engaged with the world, where is his mind? And how does he walk when he's active in this world, right? You could say when he's doing his duties, when he's, inactive. How is his mind situated? These are the questions. Are you ready for the answers? Yes. Now, we spoke earlier. Maybe you could pull up the 6 blue dot one. There you go. Thank you. We spoke earlier about duty is something I can decide to be dutiful today. Knowledge, I can start studying and in a short time get theoretical knowledge. But maturing that theoretical knowledge into wisdom, that might be a lifetime practice, right? That might be a lifetime practice. And it's only when I get to wisdom is my perception clarified and my mind is at peace, and then I can enter into absorption in the holy name. And through that, I can awaken the divine love that's within me. So getting from here to here is a huge challenge. And we're going to hear about what this is like. And by hearing these verses, it's meant to stir something in us. It's meant to make us think like, why am I not more like that? What do I have to do? What am I concerned with in life that's slowing me down from achieving that? And the years of my life are ticking away and I still haven't gotten there. Well, by the time I'm an old man or an old lady, will I be able to chant with absorption? Right? Well, I better be thinking about how to get there. So tell me more about that person. Right? This is, I really feel this is essential stuff in the Gita. Now, I want to remind you all that there's always this Krishna factor, right? That there's, by serving Krishna and praying to Krishna, trying to please Krishna's voice. At any point, Krishna's dadami buddhi yogam tvam. I can give you all of the mental processing where you can achieve this. Give you that. So again, it's a combination of our endeavor and grace. But through our endeavor and through grace, we want to go from here to here as quickly as possible. So that kirtaniya sadahari, so that we can chant that name and achieve the perfection of the chanting, which is Krishna Prema. Yeah. All right, you ready to hear these verses? Let us hear them. Krishna says, "O Arjuna, when a person gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when the mind is thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness." Okay, this is an important verse. He said something here, and I want to key in on it because we don't want to just read these things and go right past them without understanding them. He said that this person that's got this even mind, the sage of steady mind, that he gives up all varieties of desire, comma, for sense gratification, and then he says, which arise from mental concoction. What does that mean? Yeah, it's going on in our mind. I mean, there's an indication here that this is all something that's happening in the mind. In a sense, the mind makes it up. Let's get a microphone back to Dominica.
The mind is placing its own, like, this is good. And another mind might say, no, it's bad.
Yes.
Or I'm liking this.
Yes.
So it's all coming from the mind. It's not good or bad. The
You
mind
hit
is
the
just-
nail on the head. It's like, sometimes you hear in Eastern philosophy, there's neither good or bad. Have you ever heard anything like that? It's not a moral statement. It's not saying that morally there's no good or bad. But what it's saying is that you take one object and one person perceives it as pleasant and another person perceives it as unpleasant, right? Is the object pleasant or unpleasant? It's happening in the mind. It depends on the mindset, right? It depends on the mindset. So if I think my happiness is dependent on connecting with that object, connecting my senses with that object, no, it's not at all dependent on that. But we think it is. And I like to use this analogy sometimes. If we had a computer sitting in front of us right now, and we could connect a camera to the computer represents the mind. If the computer is the mind, what does the camera represent? The eyes, right? Takes in visual data, sends it to the mind. And if we connected a speaker to it, the speaker represents the voice. Okay. So we program that computer that when we flash a red light in front of the camera, that the computer automatically is an important word here. The computer automatically responds by playing a recorded file that comes out the speaker that says, I like red. Okay, we flash a red light, the computer has an instant automatic result and it responds by saying, I like red. We could program a computer like that, yes? Mm-hmm. And then we could also program a computer to do the opposite. Then when we flash a blue light, that the computer automatically and instantly responds with a human sounding voice saying, I don't like blue. We could do that as well, right? Mm-hmm. Now, is red good and blue bad? No. We could just change in an instant, we could change the programming to say, I don't like red and I like blue, right? Mm-hmm. So what the yogis are telling us and what Bhagavad-gita is telling us here is that he says, all varieties of sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction. Maybe if we could say this by saying mental programming. Okay, it's mental programming. Whether this is good or bad, it just has to do with how our mind has been programmed to respond to it. And there is one application in the mind whose whole business is not like the buddhi, which is reflective and involves reasoning. There's an aspect of the mind, an application in the mind called the manas. And the manas just responds instantly according to its previous programming. So just like we could change the programming of the computer to say, I don't like blue, or I do like blue, I don't like red, or I do like red. The yogis are saying that we have a mind that's programmed with all kind of ideas about what we need to be happy and what we need to not have in order to be happy. And from the minute that we wake up in the morning until the minute that we lie down to go to sleep at night, we pursue what we believe will bring us happiness, and we try to avoid what we think won't. But that all of that is random programming, that there's no real truth in it. You see? You with me?
Yeah.
So what that means, if that's true, well, then what are we doing? we're wasting our whole life based on a false premise that we need certain things to be happy, and we don't. We're wasting our entire lives this way. So when it comes to a person that's got this sage of steady mind, this is where Krishna starts. That they give up varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction. My mind has been telling me these things, but I don't listen to the mind anymore. All right. And when his mind, thus purified, now you have a purified mind, purified from all of that false programming. Thus purified, finds satisfaction. Where's my happiness? Not in changing the external things, chasing them. It's within me. That's where my happiness comes from, right? Thus purified finds satisfaction in self alone. Then he is said to be in the pure transcendental consciousness. Key stuff, huh? Life-changing stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. One who is not disturbed in mind even amongst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called the sage of steady mind. Stita Dhira Muni. It's the phrase. Stita Dhira Muni. Fixed, stira. Fixed, stita D. Their meditation is fixed. Stita Dhira Muni. They're a sage of steady mind. Steadiness of mind. This is yoga. This is a very important part of the Bhagavad-gita. This is Krishna's asking us to become like this. He's asking Arjuna to become like this. Right? Sage of steady mind. Text 57. So these were the symptoms. Now how does he speak? In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain. Evil here, I think, is an old English way of saying pleasant and unpleasant. Good and evil means like pleasant and unpleasant, right? So in the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever pleasant and unpleasant things he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. This is how he responds. He doesn't praise it, he doesn't despise it, right? Why is it like this? Why is it like that? That person did this person did that. Oh my God, it's gonna snow. Oh my God, it's getting hot. Oh my God, it's like, they're not responding like that. They have an even mind. All of that stuff, they set it aside, right? Otherwise, they can't have a peaceful mind. They've learned to set that stuff aside. Their mind is settled, becomes steady. Neither praising, check in on your words throughout the day. See how many of them were wasted. Complaining about something that you're not changing anyway. Or praising something even. Oh my God, this was so great. Did you see the Super Bowl? Oh my God, it was incredible. It was, did you see that? Did you see people all excited about things that just come, go, boom, poof, they're gone. And our happiness should not depend on such fickle, flickering, often inane, silly, ridiculous things. Right? The more that we get attached to those kind of things, the sillier and more ridiculous our lives become. Right? These people are above that. They're beyond that. Right? Free, peaceful. Yes, Kishori Gopi.
So rather than praising or despising these material situations,
Yes.
as devotees, we are offering appreciations, right, of each other. So of devotees or of service or of,
That's right. We keep our praise, especially for that which is on the spiritual platform, right? And saying that, I just want to be clear. It's not that we don't give a compliment here and there, and we don't, it's like we know how to be polite. We know how to be ladies and gentlemen, and naturally we will be. Once Prabhupada was asked, almost like Arjuna is asking here, Prabhupada answered this question, like I think they said, how does a Krishna conscious person behave? And Prabhupada said, they're perfect ladies and gentlemen, right? But that means, how do you become a perfect lady and gentleman? You have to have a peaceful mind. Otherwise, you're yelling about this and upset about that and disturbed about this, and you can't behave so. When you have this really peaceful mind, you can be a perfect lady, a perfect gentleman. Never the one that's like causing a scene or disturbing things, because, even like recently I was in public and I just witnessed a person that things just weren't quite going their way. And they started to get grumpy. They started to get disturbed. They started suddenly, like, there's a tension in the atmosphere, and people are trying to appease them a little bit, and but people that have found their happiness within, they've learned to tolerate all the externals. They become perfect ladies, perfect gentlemen. So we know how, a devotee will know a Vaishnava, a sage. They'll know how to behave well in the material world and smoothly and gracefully. This is a big word, gracefully. That's a sign of wisdom, that you move through the world with grace. You're not the one that's, in a sense, being made a fool of by the material energy, and being exposed as not being peaceful within. When you're peaceful within, you move through the world gracefully, right? Things that bother others, you're like, it's okay. I was recently also in a circumstance where I was on a vehicle, and we're getting stuck in traffic this way, that way, no matter which way we went, And I could see the tensions starting to, so I was trying to be more like this in my life. And I said, well, I know two things. This person knows better how to get there than I do. And no matter what I do, I can't make this go any faster. So we may as well just, we don't even need to talk about this anymore. I didn't say that, but I just kind of indicated that there's no point in talking about this anymore. We could sit here talking about the traffic, going on and on about it. What's the point? And the more that you complain, the more that the material energy is just making a fool of you, and you're just getting distracted from having that mind that can be absorbed in the holy name and so on. Yes. Please, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your name. Anya.
But what is when I see something very unfair happen? Let's say I'm on a street, I see a dog gets treated very badly. Do I then react out of a calm, steady mind, or should I not react?
Well, so this question was similar to the previous one, and that's why I say I need a label for these kind of questions, like the practical application of the higher vision, right? And the devotee is not insensitive to the suffering of any. As a matter of fact, they should be more sensitive to the suffering of others. And if they can do something to relieve that suffering, then they'll do it. And sometimes that might even require getting loud or even making a scene. So it's certainly possible that you react that way. But now you're talking about preventing suffering. You're acting out of compassion. We're not talking about the petty things, that disturb us and that's one thing. Even here, Arjuna is being asked to have a peaceful mind going into a war, but we already know that the war is the right thing in this case, right? So he's saying, so now that we know that that's settled, we could sit here and talk about whether or not this war should be fought, but it's already been settled that it's the right thing to do. So now the question is, how are you going to approach that situation? You approach it with an even mind or not? But so I'm not saying that a sage is always walking around being quiet, but they're not controlled by the external circumstances. They know how to respond to them. Like that. Does that help address? Okay.
Thank you.
No, it's a good question. Very important question. Okay. So we've heard about the symptoms. We've heard about how he speaks. He's not praising or despising the different. When something goes up, he's not, this is great. And when something goes down, he's not like, oh no. Because he already knows things are going to go up and things are going to go down. Right? Okay. Then I think it's going to move on now to how does he sit? One who's able to withdraw his senses from the sense objects, as a tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness, right? When I'm doing my duties in this world, I'm engaging my senses with them dutifully in service. And otherwise, I can withdraw them and go within, right? A tortoise takes everything in the shell. And a sage can take their senses and go right in, right? Have any of you ever done these kind of meditational practices where you make your body very still, close your eyes, go within? Raise your hand if you've done that kind of thing before. Okay, a lot of people. Wow. I have a friend who's he's a bhakta, but he's like a real yogi, like that kind of yogi. He wandered up into the Himalayas and did yoga with these people. And then he went to the Bihar School of Yoga. Have you heard of the Bihar School of Yoga? Yeah. They do all these far out meditational things. So he would share some of that with me. And one day he put a book on my head. And you put that book on your head so that you don't budge. You know, you got to get real. You got to sit up really straight. And you put the book on the head. Then you're sitting in lotus position. And you close your eyes. And you bring your mind, you bring your awareness to your breath. First, your breath just like right here, right at the nostril. You feel the breath right there. You bring your whole mind right there. And you just keep your whole awareness focused right on the breath. Breath it's something you can put your mind on. You can bring your mind to it. And then we brought the breath, you bring all your awareness right here, in the breath in the throat. And then the breath in the lungs, in and out, in and out. And then the breath on all three together, like it's just one, you know. And you keep your mind, and when you have your mind there, after some time, sitting with a very straight spine and bringing your mind to this breath, you've forgotten all about everything you've been doing today and all that you're meant to do tomorrow. Past and future disappear. You're in the moment. You settle your mind a bit. Okay? That's the practical application of it. And then he said, now bring all of your awareness and anchor it right in your left foot. Bring it all right there. And then when you've got it there, they say, now make that foot like it's made of stone. Okay? And then you move over to the next foot and you bring all your awareness in it and you make it like it's stone. And then you bring it up your legs and you make your legs like they're stone. Left leg, right leg. Then you feel your body rooted into the ground like a big tree, immovable. Right? Now your body's rooted into the ground. And then you go up your body, up, up, up. You go through your hands and your arms. You go to the top of your head, and your entire body's like stone now. This whole thing has now taken some 15 minutes or so. And you still have that book sitting on your head. And then when the whole thing is there, then you're back on the breath again. Your eyes are closed. And then you begin to stare into the darkness. Right? And now you realize you hit a stage where you feel like, I don't have a body. I just exist here in darkness and space, like that, right? And so these yogis, they practice the stillness, practice bringing the senses in. The senses are regularly drawing us out. They're pulling us out. The yogi can go within. Now the bhakti yogi or the karma yogi is going to learn to if they're going to go out, then let me learn how to direct them. But it's also powerful to sometimes go within, shut them down. Does anyone know the word for that in Sanskrit? Pratyahara, right? Withdrawing the senses. Yeah. So Krishna is saying when they're active, they know how to engage their senses. That comes next. How does he walk? But when they're inactive, they know how to withdraw their senses. Go within. Okay, like the tortoise. He gives this analogy of the tortoise. Next. Thank you. Okay, now this is how to engage the senses externally. Right? Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, what does that mean? When we're practicing yoga, we decide I'm going to restrict my senses from this, I'm going to restrict my senses from that. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for them still remains. I'm externally controlling my senses as a yogi, but still that programming is in my mind. I still have the same material desires. I still have the same wants, comforts, pleasures, right? So this is that stage in yoga where I'm trying to control the senses, but within I still want to satisfy the senses. Difficult stage, challenging.
Yeah.
Very challenging. Okay. So, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects still remains. But ceasing such engagements, how? By experiencing a higher taste. He's fixed in consciousness. So he's saying that this cold turkey, just denying the senses, it'll only get us so far. We're going to need to taste something, right? Internally. We're going to need to taste something within that's going to be so satisfying that we'll let go of the desires for the external things. This is how he's active with his senses, right? When he's inactive, he draws the senses within, and then he can engage the senses externally, in hearing Krishna's name, seeing Krishna's form, like this. Make sense? Okay. There's going to be a series of verses that are all about the senses, the potential danger of the senses, the need to have them under control. And then we will hit a special verse. Let's see if we can hit it today. Maybe we should finish this chapter today. How much time do we have? 4 minutes. We can do this. The senses are so strong and impetuous, Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind, even of a man of discrimination who's endeavoring to control them. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, right there, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Could we open up that verse, please? Matpadaha, in relationship with me. At this point in this chapter, Krishna hasn't been talking about himself at all. Everything that he's been saying about yoga could apply just as well to a karma yogi, practically a jnana yogi, except what he's been saying about work. He's been saying control the senses, control the mind, control the senses. But he hasn't said bring your mind to me. Okay? This is the first time he's doing that. Practically in the Bhagavad-gita, this is the first time he's doing it. He's going to do this many times in the Bhagavad-gita. He's not just saying control your senses. It's not just saying control your mind. He's saying then focus them on me. He's giving the object of meditation. And again, I'm calling these verses Krishna factor verses. Okay? That beyond all other considerations, exclusive devotion, or in this case you could say meditation, on Krishna awakens a higher principle of grace where he takes charge of the devotee's well-being. This is going to happen many times in the Bhagavad-gita, right? He's not just saying, you read Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he's going to say you can meditate on any object. But he is going to say that it's going to be easier to meditate on the Ishvara. But he's going to say, but you can meditate on anything you want to meditate on. Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is going to say, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskar. Bring your mind to me. He's going to say it again and again. So there's one verse in this chapter where he brings it, bring it to me. Right? This is significant. Okay, one who restrains the senses, keeping them under full control. That's all the stuff, all the yogis talk about that. All the Vedantins talk about that. And fixes his consciousness upon me. Boom, right there. That's the object of meditation. Unique object of meditation is known as a man of steady intelligence. Okay, can we go back? While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. From anger, complete delusion arises. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. One gets really bewildered. We see it happen all the time. People do crazy stuff. Yeah. But where did it all start?
Lust.
Even before lust.
Desire.
contemplating the objects of the senses. That's where it all started, right here. While contemplating the objects of the senses. So the wise people, they don't contemplate the objects of the senses, right? They're not thinking, oh, if I only could have that, if I could only have that, if I could only have that. They just say, why am I contemplating that, right? And you cut the whole thing off right there before it builds up its momentum. Yes, Verity.
What about if you see the objects, the sense objects, as in relation to Krishna, like nature?
Then that kind of contemplate, any kind of, whatever we see, whatever we contemplate in relation to Krishna is in truth. And whatever we contemplate as separate from Krishna is illusion. And so Krishna speaking, the last verse was from this higher bhakti Krishna factor perspective. Now he's speaking again more on the common Vedantic platform, like that. So he's saying, don't contemplate the objects of the senses. But later he's going to say, make me the object of your contemplation. But really, is that the object of the senses, or is it, you engage your senses with it, but ultimately there's an internal connection. See, this will come out more in the next couple chapters, but the experience of the contact of the senses with the object of the senses and the search for happiness in that connection, Krishna is going to reveal that as illusion. And that it's not, and not only is it illusion, it's actually the cause of suffering. Even that we think, oh, I contact that and it's pleasant. Because I've identified that as the source of pleasure, contact of senses with object of senses, because it's a material connection, it's necessarily going to end. And so it's necessarily going to become this source of suffering. So he's saying, why invest your search for happiness in something that is definitely going to bring suffering? Right? So this is this is Vedanta, right? Don't search for your happiness externally, find it within. Okay. But a person free from all attachment and aversion, and able to control his senses through the regulative principles of freedom, can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. Learn to regulate this. This is yoga. Regulate your senses, and you can become free. Free from the programming of your mind. To a materialist, it looks like now you're not free. Now you have to follow all these regulations. No, but these regulations are going to free me from all the programming in the mind. Then I'll actually be free. Does that make sense? For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. They're becoming steady. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there's no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. Therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. What is night for all beings is a time of awakening for the self-controlled. And the time of awakening for all beings is the night for the introspective sage, right? The materialist is looking at the material energy and saying, this is the source of happiness and distress. And the spiritualist is looking at the same thing and say, I don't need this. I just need to turn within. One is pursuing one way, one is pursuing the other. One is seeing the world as a playground, another is seeing it as a prison. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled, but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. Right? As long as you're searching to satisfy those desires externally, your mind will never find peace. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship, and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. That is the way of the spiritual godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Now, this is an interesting message because giving up all sense of proprietorship, living free from desires. Oh, so you don't want me to fight this war, right? Because that's why people fight wars, right? But at the same time, you're telling me to fight. So which is it going to be? And that's going to be Arjuna's question at the beginning of chapter 3, which we'll pick up tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to do chapter 3, the whole chapter. We're going to try to do chapter 4, the whole chapter. And we'll even try to do chapter 5, the whole chapter. Yeah, we got to get moving here.
We have a Q&A today for all the questions.
Oh, yeah, we have a Q&A today. That's right. We have a Q&A today at 4 o'clock, is it? Yeah, so, yeah, we can ask a lot of questions. Or any questions. But, yeah, so try to read all those chapters by tomorrow. 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Thank you all so much. We got something going. We got a little momentum now. And we'll keep it going tomorrow. Thank you very much. Hari Om Tat